Al, it's New Year's Eve,
Wow.
the final day of the year.
Yes, it is.
And what better way to cap off the final day of the year than to talk about the best games of the year?
I think that's a solid plan.
I think that's a solid plan. Al, I mean, you got time still to check your list again if you really want to.
I will fight you straight up. Do you want to
There's
go?
still time. There's still time. You got a
Do
couple more
you do
minutes left
you
before we
want
get
to
into
go?
things.
Do you want to go?
Are you sure you don't want to switch around like number 5 and 4?
And 5 and 4 aren't the problem.
Do you want to switch around number 2 and 3?
That's a problem. No.
Good goofs. Good goofs. Anyways, hello, welcome to this week's episode of Season Language Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Al and Ladium.
Hello, hello.
This is episode number 314, and it is the 2022 Game of the Year.
Ba-na-na-na.
The 8th annual version of them.
Wow.
It's a lot of games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
We got our general stuff here. If you've been here before, you know the drill. We give out some supplemental awards first. We give out the next inductee into the Season Language Checkup Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we do.
And then we dive into our lists.
Yep. There is a change though this year.
There is a change this year.
I did a top 10.
It's very surprising.
It's very surprising. I have driven myself crazy doing this list this year, and at one point I was just like, you know what? What if I just make it 10? Why not? Why not just make it 10?
At the very last minute, I was like, oh, let me just do more work for myself.
So instead of our normal, like Jared does 3 and then I hop in, we will actually have 10 to go back and forth with this time.
We will.
Wow.
Very surprising, but
Wow.
that's the way it's gonna be this year.
That's the way, 2022 has been pretty good to me so far. So, let's just be good to 2022 by giving it 3 extra games.
And zoomed on by.
Yeah. God, it was speedy. This year's flown by. It feels like I just moved out here.
But yes, it is time to celebrate the 2022 best games of the year. And also some other games that we decide, hey, let's give them awards and some just weird stuff as well, because that's just what we do here. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. It's fun.
Some fun times to be had. Let's dive into these supplemental awards. Al, what do you want to begin with?
The first one on my list is Best Moment.
That's also the one on mine.
Well, let's go with Best Moment then.
What a surprise. Al, what was your best moment of 2022?
The grand finale from the Somnifal's Nirvana initiative.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yep. That song's been stuck in my head since the game came out, and that entire thing is just a blast to watch. I watch it all the time.
I guess it's also a good moment to say, hey, there's probably going to be spoilers in this episode for games that we have played. So if we talk about a game and you haven't played it and you want to play it, you should probably skip past that part of the podcast.
Probably.
Because that's a good idea. Because that's a good moment.
It's a very good moment. It was, a nice callback to the previous game. I personally like this song better than Invincible something Arrow. Rainbow Arrow?
That sounds right.
I like this one a lot better than that. And I just thought that the sequence was really fun this time too. Not that it wasn't last time. Anyway, the point is these are really fun. I like watching characters go through like intense, dramatic craziness and then like do a dance number afterwards. It's great.
It's very dumb and good.
It's very dumb and good, and I love it.
Well, anyways, my best moment of the year is kind of a lot of moments, to be honest.
Okay.
But my best moment of 2022 is any weird, wild, and bizarre mashup of properties you get in Fortnite.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Just because of the dumb stuff you can get, like just playing with friends, you'll get like a cavalcade of bizarre characters. Like, oh, here's John Cena, Vegeta, and Naruto hanging out together, and Vegeta's hitting the gritty, and Naruto's doing Gangnam Style. John Cena's over there flying around on like a Star Wars pod thing or something. It's the dumbest stuff, but it just brings me so much joy, and it's fun.
It is pretty fun.
It's so stupid.
there have been many times being like, the 3 or sometimes that we played this game. And I'm just like, oh my god, what is happening here? It's really fun.
I still think the best description of Fortnite is just like it's a big toy box. It's just like you have when you're a kid, you have that big toy box of stuff that you just filled it up with all sorts of stuff you have, and you just pull all that stuff out and you do whatever you want with it. And that's kind of just this game.
No, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
That's just the way it is. But yeah, that's my best moment, I guess, or moments. But
I dig it.
That is the best moment of 2022 for me. What do we want to do next?
My next one is best old game.
All right, we'll go with best old game.
Okay. What is your best old game?
So technically this is not a full game, but okay, best old game, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
Nice.
The End of Zoe DLC.
The End of Zoe DLC. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to throw you off there for a second and be like, wait a minute.
No, I
wait a minute.
I knew where you were going with that. I knew you wouldn't say 7 straight up.
No, that DLC was so good.
It ruled. It ruled.
And just, I think it was really helped because of just how not good the entirety of 7 was, and then the Chris DLC was, that we were just like, man, I hope there's something in this last DLC that's something, and then we get to this and it's just like, oh my god, we're just punching people, we're doing wrestling moves, it's just over the top ridiculous, it is Resident Evil. Mm-hmm. It was like, man, the series is back, baby.
Yep.
This is a real fun time.
It was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping with the same theme.
Okay.
My best old game is Resident Evil Village.
That tracks. I almost put that up there as well. It was a strong contender.
It was a strong contender. I finally got to play through it myself this year, because of the DLC pack, and it's some Resident Evil, and it's great.
Sure is.
It's so great. Like, it's stupid. You fight a man who is a tank. You fight a baby with jiggle physics, or you don't really fight it. You just move around it.
You run away from it.
You get terrified and run away from it if you're me.
Or if you're me, you just juke it and you're like, see you later.
Yeah. I got completely blocked by a dump truck on a giant vampire lady. Like, this is what I wanted for our new Resident Evil, and it delivered. It delivered real. Oh.
Yeah.
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 That's my best old game.
I can agree with you on that one.
It's not super old, but I think it counts.
I mean, I put a previous year's game last year.
Yeah.
For my best old game, so I think it counts.
I did too.
It didn't come out this year, so.
Yep. I did too last year.
All right, what do we want to do next?
My next one is best surprise.
Okay, well, I don't have best surprise, so I'll pick something else.
Okay.
But you tell us what your best surprise is.
My best surprise was Stranger in Paradise Final Fantasy Origin.
Fair.
Because all we saw of this game really before launch was like the memery of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, that part of it's great. I do really appreciate that Jack multiple times is like, yo, like, I don't give a what you're trying to tell me right now. All I care about's chaos. So, like, what we doing? Let's just go. But, like, the game itself is actually really, really good. And I enjoyed the characters in the story, even though, like, you have weird jump cuts halfway through that's like, all right, well, cool. I guess we're a team now.
Yeah.
But, like, this game was really good, and I didn't expect it to be as good as it was.
Yeah, especially because, like, you'd played the beta demos that they put out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, like, you really came away from them thinking, like, oh, man, this is going to be a fun game that I'm going to enjoy next year.
No. I was just like, oh, okay, this sure does exist. But, like, the actual game itself, I'm like, this is surprisingly very good, and for a very, very long time this year, it was in the #1 slot of my game of the year for a very long time. It got knocked off that throne, but it was a good game.
It was a fun time, yeah.
It was a fun
time. Well, I have an award that I think complements that one.
Okay.
And that is, of course, Best Limp Bizkit song that represents Jack Final Fantasy.
Yes!
And we're gonna go with an unreleased Limp Bizkit song. Of course, that being "Crack Addict," because Jack Final Fantasy is a crack addict. That's right, he's a crack addict. You heard me. He's a crack addict. He's addicted to cracking skulls when punks start static.
I mean, crack is chaos, right?
I would like to tell you that the outro of the song says the following.
Okay.
I don't give a who talks that you're fake all talk and no action.
Yes, okay.
That's a very Jack Final Fantasy line.
That's exactly what I was saying earlier. He was just like, I do not care. Like, I know you're trying to monologue at me. I don't care at all. So yes, that line is perfect for him.
It's really good and dumb.
It's really good.
All right, what's our next award we're giving out here?
I have biggest disappointment.
Okay, I will also go with my most disappointing game. I think you're going to be surprised by this one.
Okay. You're not going to be surprised by mine.
Well, no, because I already guessed it, and I know about it.
What's yours?
So I don't really feel like I played a lot of games this year that I was like, oh man, this was a disappointing game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take this in a little bit of a different direction.
Okay.
My most disappointing, I guess, game thing this year, Love Live School Idol Festival All-Stars Season 3.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Because, we came off of those first two seasons, like the first season's real good, second season's real good, and then the third season's just kind of there.
Milk toast.
Just not a whole lot happening. Like there's not any really drama from the first two seasons that were in there, which it would have been hard to do. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But just it's just a whole lot of nothing really happening in there, and it's it's a real big come down from those first two seasons, which were real fun and real good.
They played it way too safe after the backlash that they got.
Yeah,
that's
I
really what
100%
it
agree.
is.
Yeah, it was just a real big bummer coming off of those first two seasons that you're just this isn't what I wanted.
I agree with you entirely.
Mm-hmm.
That is super fair.
Yeah. All right, tell me about Pio Fiore Episodio, whatever
1926.
year it is, 1926, and why it was the most disappointing game for Al this year.
Man, I was so let down by this game. I was really, really excited by it. I got the collector's edition of it, and I'm like, all right, this game was stupid last time. Like, you got to boink for the body of Jesus Christ. It was insanely dark, and there was one route where no matter what you did, you basically died.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played this one. I'm like, oh, this is not good. It's some of them just retread the same ground, but do it worse. And it's just boring. I think the only really interesting thing about this game at all was the part where Nicholas starts talking about his time of World War One, and you get this whole thing about him trying to get personal effects off of the bodies and take them back to his family, but then he ran out of room and he had to stop because so many people were dying around him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when that's the best part of your Otome game, that's a problem.
That's not great.
That's not great. It was strange that there was so much mentions of Mussolini and fascism, and some guy in Germany, which I was 1926. So I don't think that's quite where we're gonna go with that. But it was just the you tried sticker. Because it just wasn't good. It took a lot for me to actually finish it, which is bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially because the first one is in my top 10 Otome. It was really, really good.
And this one ain't.
No, it's not good. It was really, really, really big letdown.
Yeah. Real big bummer on that front.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what are we heading to next?
I have Best Jared and Al co-op.
All righty, here we go. Al, what is your Best Jared and Al co-op of the year?
Second time this is going to show up this time. I have fishing in Fortnite.
That's okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I didn't consider that, honestly, but that's a real good one.
It was so funny.
That's pretty good.
Um, I loved when you told me originally, like, oh, you could just fish in Fortnite and like I'll protect you. I'm like, oh man, that sounds like it's gonna be really boring for you. But then we played it and we did that stream and it was just a blast. It was so
Hmm.
fun. I don't know if you had as much fun as I did.
It was
Um,
it was very funny just to watch you like be off on your own fishing while I was off doing other stuff and like shooting people, and you're just like la 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 fishing fishing fishing, trying to still fish while people were like shooting at you and everything. It was very good and dumb.
it was such a fun time. And I appreciate that you took the time to like be my protector so that I could fish as sultry Indiana Jones
Hmm.
in the Fortnite. It was
Yeah,
good.
that was a good time.
See, I told you it was funny, so I had to stick with it.
Yeah, I can completely understand why.
What
Uh,
you got?
my best Jared and Al co-op game of the year, which technically is not a co-op game,
Okay.
but is a game we played,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of led me through it. So I feel like that's cooperative in a way.
Okay.
So we're gonna try to stretch the meaning of that in a little bit. Shenmue.
Oh, nice.
We
I
got to
didn't
learn
expect
about
that.
playing forklifts, driving forklifts, where
Mm-hmm.
the sailors are, fighting a lot, and then walking around the town a lot, just wasting time while we wait for events to pop up.
Giving the cat, what was it, tofu instead of the fish?
Yeah, and then also making it drink a lot of milk,
Oh God, that cat's gonna have so
doing a
many
ton of gotcha.
bad poops.
Yeah, it
Saying
was.
I see a lot.
I see.
I see.
Talking to Tom, the hot dog man.
That was so fun.
It was a fun time. Like it's very like that game in itself is kind of like we talked about this when we did the episode about it, but like there's a lot of you can see the 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 groundwork for games like the Yakuza series and other stuff like that in this series in particular, and just like even though we were kind of like brute forcing our way through it and just kind of doing like the most straightforward way to do it, like it was
Mhm.
kind of like a chill thing to do, just hang out and chit chat while we waited to do stuff and all that sort of stuff,
It was fun.
racing around on forklifts, doing our job. Yeah,
It
it was just a good time.
was a good time.
Hmm.
We'll have to get back into the second one at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really, really good time. And that was my first time really experiencing that game. Like I knew about it because basically of the internet.
Yeah.
Um, but it's completely different when you get to experience it and you get to hang up the phone and say that you're gonna handle it yourself. You don't need the police.
That part's so
So
good.
good.
Oh man.
It's amazing.
All right, what do we got next?
I have a Tome game of 2022 that I didn't hate.
All right.
Very specific.
Very specific.
Do you want me to go ahead with it?
Yes, please go ahead.
We have not talked about this game yet. Because I just beat it very recently.
And we've
It
had
is
a lot of other stuff on our plate.
yeah, December has been packed. And it is called Lover Pretend. With Tome titles, they're always really silly.
Yes.
And you're basically this gal who is trying to be a screenwriter who's following in the footsteps of her mother to try and figure out who her dad is, and ends up working on a new film that's coming out. And of course, you end up dating like the dudes around you, like the hair and makeup artist, the main actor, the director's son, um, a model who's decided he's going to switch into um, acting. We don't talk about the last route; that one doesn't exist. We don't talk about that. We might talk about this eventually down the road on the podcast, but it was just like a chill, fun time, and I really liked all the characters in it.
Mhm.
Um, Legitimately has one of my favorite dateables in an otome that I've ever met, which is wild.
Saying something.
Yeah, yeah, he's like a socially awkward, like otaku nerd, and I'm like, I love you. You wear stupid pants, but you're great. Um, but I had a really good time playing this game. And it didn't like, well, it didn't make me as mad as some of the other Otome games that I've played this year. Like I
Yeah,
said,
that's true.
the last route doesn't exist, but um, like everything else about it was really great.
I'm happy for you.
Me too. Which one are
All
you gonna
right.
match up with the Tome game?
Best anime game. And I'm going to give that to Hollow Cure,
Oh, nice.
which is a fan game about
Mm-hmm.
VTubers. And essentially it's a parody of like, Vampire Survivors and those kind of games, that ilk, but just replace all of the gothicness of that with some VTubers going around with a bunch of references from, the Hololive production crew in general, and like, some fan stuff here and there. And it's a really fun game to play. Like, it plays really well for a fan game. Like, it's tuned pretty well as well. There's quite a bit of characters that they've put into it so far. Like, there's still a lot that they have to get to and everything, but like all of the characters have like, pretty different play styles and everything. So you can have like just different ways to play the game, even though like you are technically playing the same game over and over and over again. Just the play styles change depending on which character you choose and all that sort of stuff. And it was kind of my first experience with one of those kinds of games, especially this
Mm-hmm.
year, considering they all kind of just blew up after Vampire Survivors came out.
Right.
Um, and it's had a really fun time with it. It has the right kind of fan service for it while also being a pretty fun playing game as well, which I think
I
is a
really need to
hard
play
line
it.
to balance at times. Yeah, you should probably play it as well.
Yeah, because I tend to like bullet helly type games.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I would enjoy this.
Yes. All right. What is your final supplemental award?
I actually have two more
Two
awards.
more. Wow, you're way ahead of me.
Sorry.
How dare? That's fine.
The next one I have on my list is best game that I fished in this year.
Okay.
And this is gonna be short. It's Resident Evil 4. I'm just glad that I made it work. Because that was
Yeah.
stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was so hard to see, and I didn't know if it was actually going to be feasible. Like I knew it was a thing, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna work. But it totally did. And so it's just stupid and it's funny, and that's why I put it on this list.
That makes a ton of sense.
Is it fishing? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you catching fish? Yes. Is it fishing?
Yes.
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 There you go.
Harpoons all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of
That's all you
overkill.
need.
Mm-hmm. It's just stupid. I love it.
Well, I'm gonna give out my final supplemental award,
Okay.
and that is best Gran Turismo 7 livery that I made.
Mm-hmm.
I made quite a few of those this year, which they made it pretty easy to do in the game itself to kind of like make stuff, because you can just put like download stamps, quote unquote, which is just like, images of stuff, and just place them on cars and all that sort of stuff, and you can make your own designs, and it's very easy to do stuff like that. And I think it's real neat that you're able to kind of do that even with like no graphical design understanding really. So I made quite a few liveries in that game. I made a Yoshiko one, I made a Rena one, I made an Aqua one, I made a Shioriko one, I made a Dude Bro U one, and I made I think like two Corone ones.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think the one I like the most is the Aqua one I made for the Honda 2016 NSX Concept GT car. And I think as well as just like that car, I really love driving it. It just like has the right amount of like balance in terms of like handling and speed. It's just it's so fun to drive, and I like just like the dumb little goofy parts I put on that car. Just like, here's the missing poster from the movie. Here's Shiitake. Here's a little Ruby being scared or something like that. Here's here's Yoshiko putting Rico in a headlock. Just dumb fun things like that, and just has all the gals on there, and it's a fun thing. I like it.
Nice.
So
Nice.
there you go. All right, what is your final supplemental award of the year?
All right, we'll match this up with our final one with both of us. Um My next one is best re-release slash remaster slash remake, and I even put on my write-up, like, I know everyone and their mother is going to be surprised that I didn't put Crisis Core here, but I did not put Crisis Core here. What it did put is Live Alive.
Interesting.
Because it's actually really, really amazing that this game came out like 30 years later here.
Yeah, at all.
At all. Like they really did some great work with the art. I do like there were like a little nods to the original art, like the prehistoric era, the little thought bubble sprites are from the original game. Megalomania goes hard.
Yeah, it does.
It goes hard. And while I had some like problems with it, I just thought it was a really, really big deal that this came out at all. And it was really, really fun. So that's it. It's not Crisis Core, believe it or not.
Shocking.
I know.
All right. Well, it is now time to induct a new game into the Seasonal Anime Checkup Hall of Fame.
Nice.
As you know, previous games that have been inducted into the most prestigious hall of all video games include Final Fantasy Mystic Quest and Final Fantasy X-2. And now we add a third game to the hallowed halls. And it is a not Final Fantasy game this time.
It's not Final Fantasy.
It is a game, though, from another storied franchise. The 2022 Seasonal Anime Checkup Hall of Fame inductee, Resident Evil 6. Round of applause, everyone.
Everybody,
well deserved. Well deserved. What a game.
Anybody who says this game is bad is wrong, because this game rules.
This game is very dumb.
It's very dumb. It's really fun if you play it with somebody.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it, is that like playing it with somebody makes a difference.
We have played this game multiple times, and I think every time we have a blast doing it, just because it's so dumb, and we just get to have a good time, hanging out with each other and just watching just the dumb chaos of this game and all the dumb story unfold. It's just a fun time. Like, there's fun characters throughout. Shout out to our boy Agent, who can't open a door for the life of him, but he's gonna help Ada with all her problems.
Except for
he's that
doors.
kind of guy. Except for she opens the doors for him. She understands his condition. It's fine.
Got the introduction to one of the best Resident Evil characters, Jake Mueller. That dude rules.
Yep.
He's so good.
Yep.
This game is just amazing.
It's so much fun.
We still make jokes about the blood umbrella.
God,
like,
that may be the best scene in all of Resident Evil.
I agree with you. It's amazing.
It is just the pinnacle of dumb Resident Evil bullshit.
It's so good.
It is amazing.
Resident Evil 6 is really, really, really good. And like, you have a great cast of characters. You get some of the like fan favorites with Leon and Chris being there. You had Sherry coming back, which is rad. It plays really well. It's super fun to play. And there's only one moment that's like truly horrifying, and that's when that little water critter is trying to chase you.
And you have to go through it because you are playing the character that you want to play.
Yep. Ripperoni and pepperoni.
But yeah.
What a beautiful game.
Sliding down the slide?
Sliding out, doing the butt shuffle thing? Perfect.
Just flying backwards and then just crawling around on your back.
Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful game.
I've got a great video on my Instagram of I think you were peers.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And you're just like randomly shuffling through the weapon like crazy, and I'm just like absolutely losing my mind. It's really funny.
It's so good.
That game is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Well deserved. Well deserved. Everyone, congratulations on our new inductee to the Hall of Fame, Resident Evil
Congratulations!
6.
Woo!
Oh boy. But now we have come down to our final part. It's time to unveil the best game of 2022. Congratulations, Game Boy!
Yay! Good job! You did your best, buddy.
2 years in a row now. It's very surprising.
I know, I know.
But now is time for the main event, the top 10 video games of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
From your pals Jared and Al.
That's us.
And like we said earlier, Al's got 10 games, so that's very surprising. So we're just gonna go back and forth here on these games.
All right.
Starting off with number 10.
Number 10.
I'm going to give number 10 to Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
That will come up again.
Yeah. This game was just really charming and cute. It was fun. Had a good time playing through it, even though like the end of it I feel like the end tails off a little bit just because it's like, hey, just replay all the levels you already played through, but they're a little bit harder. I was like, I'm good. I'm okay with that.
Mouthful mode is so funny.
Mouthful mode is very good.
Very good.
Just trying to do all the puzzles and like finding all like the hidden collectibles and everything was a fun time. It's a Kirby game. It's very charming. That's what they are. So it was very fun to play through this, as Al was very gracious to be like, hey, you want to play this game? And I was like, sure. I would like to play this game.
It's fun. Also, it has fishing.
It does have fishing.
And Kirby gets a nice little fishing hat.
He does get a little fishing hat. It's real good.
It's real good.
It's real good.
It's on my list. It's higher up on my list, but it is on my list.
Al, what is your number 10?
So it technically came out this year. It had originally come out on a different, like on, I think, PC a couple of years ago. But this was the first like console release. So I count it. I give it to Omori.
Okay.
I had a really good time with this. I didn't know what I was getting myself into playing it at all. I just had no idea. But it was a fun, like, old school RPG. But it did have, some pretty dark themes going on there, and unraveling the mystery of what was going on was great. I really, really enjoyed the art style. I thought that was like fantastic. So yeah, I enjoyed my time with Omori. I'm glad that I got the ending that I did, and I'm not ever playing it again.
Well, there you go.
Number 10.
All right, now we move on to number 9. Number 9999.
99999.
I am giving that to Live Alive.
That will come up again.
A lot of the things you said earlier, I completely agree with. I think they did a really good job of using that HD 2D stuff to really kind of breathe a new life into this game and making it look better than it would have before. It is incredibly wild that this game came out at all over here after, almost 30 years. And it's just really cool that it's a cool piece of history that they're able to, take that and put it out here after so much time. And it's such an interesting game as well because it's a JRPG that kind of bucks the trend of what JRPGs were at the time. And it's just like, here's all these little mini short stories that you are going to play that span all different kinds of genres. And then eventually, they're going to kind of mold together at the end. But, having these like serialized little stories in a JRPG really wasn't a thing that people were doing at the time. So it's really cool to see that. And I really liked how they kind of used all these different genres and still made it a JRPG at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about it. It's like little bite-sized JRPG bits, or like, you had the one that was like fighting game-ish, but it's still a JRPG.
The Western.
The Western
the sci-fi one. Like, there's just so much like interesting ways that they are kind of like do JRPG stories, but then make it different, all within the same game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I liked it a little bit more than you did, which is interesting because it's lower on my list than it is on yours. But
correct.
but
I think the reason why I was so frustrated with it was because I was on a time crunch.
Yeah, I completely understand that. That is why, because like the final parts of that game are a little bit stressful
Hmm.
because you go through like a boss rush and all that sort of stuff. So like
Oh,
if
that
you're
made me
trying to
so mad.
if you're trying to go through this game quickly and you don't have the time to really kind of sit back and not rush through it, then yeah, it's going to be a little bit more frustrating than if you're like, all right, well, I'm just going to do this, this, and this, and I don't have to rush through it and make sure I'm very quick about this because I have a lot of other things in my life happening.
I really enjoyed watching you play it on stream.
Mhm.
Um, I ended up appreciating it a lot more watching you play it than when I was playing it.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense
Mhm.
because you
But I
get a
think
different
again,
perspective from
I
it.
was rushed, and
Yeah,
so like watching you play through it and not be as like about it, like it hit a little bit different at the end.
yeah, totally. All right, Al, what is your number 9?
Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Whoa, what a surprise!
I know, little Curbster.
Tell me about your thoughts on Curb.
It was just a fun game. It was
Mhm.
super cute. I enjoyed it. Like I didn't 100% it. I got pretty close, but um, it's just a really really fun time. It's really all there is to
Yeah,
it.
good time. Number 8. I don't think this game's going to be on your list.
Okay, I don't think
If it
mine's
is,
gonna
I
be
will
on
be
your list
very
either.
surprised. My number 8 game of the year, Gran Turismo 7.
Okay.
Very good looking game, as car games tend to be.
Hmm.
Uh, but I just had a lot of fun playing through this game. Like, it's not the greatest simulation racing game of all time. Like, that's just Gran Turismo kind of fallen off in that aspect, I think. But it was just a lot of fun. Doing races, doing online races against people as well, doing random endurance races just out of the blue, just because I wanted to sit there and race and just have a lot of fun playing on these different tracks, learning various different tracks that I may not have known at the time or like had driven before, but it's been a long time since, and I had to like relearn it and all that sort of stuff. I played a lot of this game this year, like a lot of this game, and they continually update it as well, which I thought was really nice. Like it's not the biggest updates in the world per se.
Hmm.
Like usually it's a monthly update that'll feature like a couple of cars and then maybe a couple of cars in a track. But still, it's nice to see that they're still kind of like putting stuff out there for it, considering like they could just been like, here you go, here's the game, and see you later, we're out of here.
Right.
But
Vroom.
yeah, vroom, we're gonna drive away. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like as someone who loves racing games, like I had just a real fun time with this game this year.
Makes
And I got to
sense.
make cool dumb liveries in it, and that was also really fun.
It's pretty legit. I loved getting the pictures of them.
Yeah. All right,
I
Al, what's your number 8?
guarantee it's not on your list as well.
Maybe you'll be
Um,
surprised.
Sonic Frontiers.
Oh man, that's also on my list as well. No, it's not. Just kidding.
It's not on your list.
That game will never be on my list until they put out the Corona DLC.
I know. So that's the big bummer on this is that I really, really do want the Corona DLC because that's amazing and it's funny. It's super funny. Um, I mean, obviously it's at number 8, and not like number 1 like Breath of the Wild got, but it's Sonic Breath of the Wild. Just not as competent as a game.
Right.
But I had a really fun time playing it, and I did a lot in this game. Like I did a huge amount of stuff in this game.
I mean, you did a
Um,
lot of fishing.
I did a lot of fishing. Man, that fishing theme rules. Um, but you had the different style of Sonic little like sub levels that you could go in. So like you'd have some that would look like Sonic 1. You'd have some that were based on like Sonic Adventure. It was neat that they put that like nod to the old games in there. They did eventually like try and explain it like, oh, they tried to make it something familiar to you, and Sonic's like, oh, that makes sense. Like, all right, cool, I guess. Took me a minute to get used to Sonic having a very deep voice.
Yeah.
That threw me off a bit. Um, but overall it was just a really fun time. It is glitchy. It doesn't work very well at times. Um, the music is silly, because you just randomly get screamo in there, which is fantastic.
Boy, do you ever.
It's fantastic. It's such a choice, and I was like, you know what? I'm here for it. I'm super here for this. Um, like the story's fine. But it is kind of like Sonic characters are growing up and they're having to figure out like Tails has this really, really great moment of having to figure out like how do I stand on my own without Sonic, and um that's really something I expected going into a Sonic game.
Hmm.
It was really fun though. It should have had fast travel unlocked. That part was not good. Give us Corona DLC.
Give us Corona DLC. That's true. All right, number 7. The true game of the year starts now.
It's true. It's true.
My number 7 game of the year, Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Oh, I forgot that came out.
They put out 2 Pokemon games this year.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. And this was like, I guess, the kind of like more of their first foray into the open world kind of aspect that they were doing, that they would, go on to do with the later games that came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
This game was just really interesting because it's a very interesting departure from the normal style of Pokemon games, and I think they were able to pull it off pretty well. Just the way, like, you move around the field, how you capture Pokemon, how you fight Pokemon, and all that sort of stuff. Pokemon try and beat you up, and I think that's real cool. I just had a real fun time with this, like just going around collecting the Pokemons, seeing the story through, fighting dudes, all that stuff, doing side quests for everyone. It was just a real interesting, weird game that I think they really kind of nailed it in a way that it seems like the ideas they took from this to put into the new games also kind of work, but that game also has a bunch of other issues with it as well that seems unfortunate that this game didn't have. But that's probably the fact that, hey, they put out 2 games this year when they normally never do that, so that's going to be a big problem. But yeah, this game was a lot of fun in a ways that I really was not expecting it to be a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, tell me your number 7.
I just realized by my number 7, this is a big year for localization. Mine is Live Alive.
All right.
And this is where my original 7 was at Live Alive.
Nahone.
Nahone, and I decided that I really wanted to throw Sonic on there. Every reason that we've talked about before, that's why it's here. That's it. I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, we've talked that game to death, I think, probably, but yeah. Good game.
Good game.
Good game. Number 6. My number 6 game of the year, Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins.
That will show up eventually on mine.
Yeah. Again, a game that I was just surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Like, and just the weird stuff that they put in that game. Like, I super wasn't expecting that game to be a huge bit of fan service to every Final Fantasy game.
Oh man, once I realized that like it had the Fantasy, I think it was Final Fantasy 9 that I realized first. I was like, oh my god, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
It was really exciting.
Like, that's real cool, and like just out of the blue, I really like Jack and his cohorts. Like, they're a weird group of characters and everything, and then the way the story moves and has all its twists and turns at the end, you're just like, this is very weird and bizarre. And then the idea at the end that like you're just playing as the characters that are the bosses from Final Fantasy 1, and they gave them characterization and everything is just so mind-blowingly bizarre. The fact that it works as well.
It works, and it's so unexpected.
Yeah,
like that's not what I expected at all.
Especially from what we had, like we talked about earlier, like what we had originally seen from this game, from like the trailers and everything, and those early demos. Like, never would have expected any of this.
Nope.
It's so weird and bizarre, but like it's such a fun, dumb time. Like, I think as well, like it really helps that like the gameplay works pretty well. Like, it is the team that made Neo and all of that, so like they know how to make these kind of Soulsborne action games. And while it isn't as like hardcore or extreme as maybe a Neo or a Souls game in particular, like it hits those same kind of marks on it, but also makes it more accessible to a wide variety of players that may not technically be interested in those games or be put off by the difficulty of those games, so they can come into this and be like, okay, yeah, I understand, how these games work now and why people might like them or whatnot, because I can like play this at my own pace rather than having to be dictated by the game telling me how to play the game at their pace, essentially.
Yay, easy mode. I'm sad that
Yeah.
it's not there for the DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A little bit of a bummer, but
it's a bit of a bummer.
the core game itself is just a real fun time. Really, really enjoyed it.
I agree with you. I mean, it's a real fun time. We've talked about it quite a lot already, but and also like despite the fact that we talked about the memes was all we knew, the memes were still funny.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Chaos still funny. Him pulling out the like Limp Bizkit stuff still funny.
So good.
It's really good. It's really good. By the way, Stranger Paradise is my number 6 as well.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, how convenient.
Yep.
I mean, do you have anything you want to add to it, or are we good?
Chaos.
Chaos.
That's all I got.
That's all I got. All right, let's move into the top 5.
All right, top 5.
Where things get a little bit more tricky.
Mm-hmm.
My number 5 game of the year, I mean, technically came out this year, but it is from a game that's like 5 years old.
Okay.
Fortnite Zero Build. Because technically Zero Build came out this year, so that counts. I'm
I
counting
don't know
it.
what that means.
So Zero Build is the game mode we play. So like, you know how Fortnite originally came out? It had like all the building stuff in it, and like that's how you played Fortnite. Is that you would build little bases to protect yourself from people, and that's people got real good at that. And that was also a thing that pushed people away from that game. Because people would like look at the way people would build stuff and be like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with building things. I'm not good at it. Everyone's just going to be like, and then I'm going to be dead at the end of it. So, earlier this year with one of the new seasons that came out, they were like, all right, we're giving you a game mode where there's no building in it. It's just pure gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
It's pure battle royale gameplay, and that's it. And it seemed to be a huge hit for a lot of people. Like, it brought a bunch of lapsed players back. It brought a bunch of new players into it who were like, I didn't like the building stuff, but like now it doesn't have the building in it. Like, I want to play this game and see what the weird stuff in this game's all about. And that's basically the mode I've played since it came out. Like, I don't touch the building stuff at all because I'm not really interested in it. And, it seems still like it's very popular in terms of like, you get a lot of games in Zero Build. So like that, it doesn't seem like it's a mode that's going to go away or anything. It's just a whole lot of fun, and I think if they didn't put this in here, I probably would have bounced off this game a lot sooner than now, where I'm still playing it to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I probably wouldn't be playing it anymore if I still had to do like building and everything.
Right.
So yeah, like like I said earlier, I've played a lot of this game this year with a lot of different people and everything, and it's just been a fun time. Like, I think the one thing that really keeps me playing this game as well is just like, unlike a lot of other battle royale games, there's just a much more chill atmosphere with Fortnite compared to like an Apex, a PUBG, a Warzone, like all those other ones where like those feel like you have to kind of be on your game more. Like, you have to be more competitive, you have to be more zoned in, whereas this, like, you just go around and do a bunch of dumb quests and avoid people if you want. And then eventually, you'll start, playing the game properly near the end if you're still there. But, like, it's not really a game that's designed to be like, oh, I gotta be zoned in, I gotta be competitive, type thing. I mean, there is that stuff there. Like, there is competitive modes and all that sort of stuff in this game. But, like, if you want to play it casually, like, that is totally an option. I think that's a huge benefit for this game in terms of, like, keeping people invested in the longevity of this game.
If you want to protect your silly pal who just wants to fish.
Yeah, that too. That's it. That is an option.
Oh man.
Oh man, indeed.
You ready for my number 5?
I'm ready for your number 5. Tell me what hits your top 5.
Another Square Enix bit. I realize there's 3 Square Enix things here. Crisis Core, Final Fantasy Reunion. You have not gotten to beat this game yet because it just came out.
Yeah.
I played this back on PSP and I loved this game. I really, really enjoyed the characterization of Zach. I enjoyed getting some of the backstory on what was going on. I love that
Enjoyed
it's
Gacked.
gacked. Um, I enjoy like how melodramatic it can be at times, which turns a lot of people off, but it's really funny. Um, so getting to go back into it and see it on my giant TV and get to experience Zach and all of his like remastered beautifulness or remade beautifulness because they completely remade it. Except for the CGs, in which case it's just like weird looking. Um, I put a stupid amount of time into this game.
You did.
I've completed like 99% of the missions. I'm at like level 70. I'm in a new game plus at the moment. I can break the damage cap so that like I do 99,999 damage every single attack I do. It's stupid. It's stupid what I've done. Um, but I had a really good time doing it, and it was just kind of a fun way to like veg out and sit there and like play through the missions. And then I was amazed that it still made me just like full on like not misty-eyed cried, like full on crying, like tears falling off of my face. I'm ugly crying, cry at the end, even though I knew what's gonna happen. I know what's gonna happen. I've played this game before. I know how things work. Um, but it still hit me really hard, and I really really love Crisis Core, so I was glad to play it again. So it's number 5 on my list.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Alrighty. Number 4. I have Elden Ring.
Ooh, I didn't expect Elden Ring on your list.
That game's real good. That's why.
No, you're right. I remember you really liked it.
The fantastic journey of one Goober, the goodest of boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that game's real fun. Like, I really enjoyed playing it. Like I said in the podcast we did about it, I can't tell you a single thing about the story. It happened. I was there, but for the most part, I was there for just like the gameplay of it, and that's some real good Souls gameplay for sure. And I think as well, like obviously, you can kind of tell one of the inspirations for this game was Breath of the Wild. And this game in particular, I think for the first time in 5.5 years has really nailed down that sense of exploration that you want to do that Breath of the Wild had. And it really is well recreated here in this game in particular. Like, I feel like this game and Breath of the Wild are like the two games that really nail down like just the idea of the very typical, hey, you see the mountain, you can go there. Like it works so well in both these games because like there's just something all around the corner wherever you go. It's like, all right, well, let me go to this area and see what's over here. Let's go over here and see if there's anything new over here or some weird enemies I'm gonna fight. And it just keeps pushing you forward to like search out new areas, do things in different orders than maybe what you expect, which I think also helps this game in particular because like it's not the same kind of linear style that a lot of the other Souls from software games have been. Whereas this one, you can just like, all right, well, I'm going to go over here and do all this stuff and level up and do all this other stuff. Oh, I guess I'll go do the story bit now. All right, I'm going to go over here and do this and go over here and explore. And I'm going over here in this cave. Oh, man, look at all these weird things. All right, now I guess I'll go do this story thing. All right, I'm going over here and do this and just so on and so forth and so on and so forth. But like, yeah, it's a really, really well, put together game. It plays incredibly well. It's a great fun time.
Yay!
All right, tell me your number 4.
My number 4 is technically DLC.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Lost Judgment Kaito Files.
All right.
Holy was this DLC good?
Yes.
Oh my god. DLC has no right to be this good. Like, when we were playing it, it felt like a full game. Like, it was really competent in terms of like story and like what we were able to do in the world. Like, it was a pretty lengthy. DLC, but like the story of it was so fun, and getting to play as Kaito, who is one of the greatest boys, um, was fantastic, and to see like what kinds of shenanigans he got up to when he was younger. But then like you get to the end and you have like that fight with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. So like you still have some of the like stupid nonsense you get from like Yakuza type games. Um, but and obviously like I watched you play it, so I have no idea how it actually plays.
Uh-huh.
But that's fine because that's how I watched all the other games happen, except for 7, which I watched and then played.
Yeah.
Um, but it was just a really fun time to watch you play this. I enjoyed it so much. Goofy Kaito.
Good dude. Very good dude.
Good dude. I'm glad that he got a happy ending here. I was really worried about
Yeah,
it.
same.
I was really worried about it at the end there. Oh boy, it got scary.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Anyway, yes, that's my number 4.
All right. Well, now we got to the top 3.
Yep.
My number 3 game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero.
All right.
So you would like we talked about when I think we did a podcast about this.
Mm-hmm.
You had played this previously when the fan translation came out, so I had played a little bit of it and I kind of stopped because it was a bit of a hassle. But I finally got to play through it all the way through now and just had a fun time with this game. Like the gameplay is really good for essentially a Vita game. I think they did a lot of stuff to make it look a little bit better. Having all the voice acting in it is a big improvement. And the way this is a kind of encapsulated story, even though like it is the first part of a duology here, really beneficial because we've played through the Trails of Cold Steel series, you've played through Trails in the Sky, and like a lot of times it feels like those first games are big setup games for the next game.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with this, it doesn't really feel like that. Like you could really just like take this game by itself and feel pretty satisfied with what you got. Like you wouldn't be like, oh man, I gotta wait for the next game to get to this cliffhanger. It's like there isn't really the big cliffhanger here. It's just kind of like there are some things that like you are going to want to have answered, and that's probably going to come in the next game and everything. But like for the most part, you would come away from this game and be like, I feel satisfied with this. I feel like I got a complete experience and everything.
Yep.
And just I really enjoy all those characters. Like we'd met them before in other games, but like just getting to really meet them in this environment and everything was a lot of fun. There's just so many good character interactions scattered throughout. And again, I think it helps as well that like this character cast isn't like super inflated like some of the other series,
Right.
Other games in the series. And you just get that core 4 of folks, and like you really get to know them in a way that it's much harder to do if you have a cast that's double or triple the size.
Right. Like we really feel like we know these 4 by the end of it, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we're gonna obviously learn a lot more about them in the next game, but
yeah, totally.
It's also by the way, this is my number 3 as well.
Hey.
It's also worth noting like how amazing it is that this localization happened the way that it did.
Yeah, 100%.
Because usually when like fan projects like this happen, they get shut down.
Mm-hmm.
But in this situation, they're like, okay, look, these games are actually really important to future games that are coming out in the series. We really want to put them out. This team has done the work. They've also put in some work to like the UI and made a lot of things like function better. Why don't we just hire these guys to do it? Which is amazing. Like that's so cool.
It also helps them get these games out much quicker than if they'd had to do it by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another big benefit of that. So yeah, it's really cool. Like you said, like this is something that usually never happens. So
no.
It's cool that this was able to happen. They were able to pull it off. They were able to get all that work in, and also, like you said, do those cool like quality of life changes for the Switch and PC version that make those versions much better to play than the
Yeah.
PS4 version, which is real wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so crazy. That never happens. So the Trails from Zero is a game of like this never happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was glad to be able to like support it officially. Since I had played the Geofront version originally. I'm just so happy for that team to see like their hard work become something really, really big that they were like happy about. Like they were all so excited when this happened for them.
It's their hard work gets to be shown off to just a way bigger audience than if it was just, hey, here's the fan translation project.
Right, right.
Which again is very wild.
It's wild. And we have the next one coming out, I think March.
That sounds right.
So yeah, good for them. This was a really, really great game.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, Geofront theme is like one of the best themes. that theme just goes really hard. Oh, fishing's fun too.
You do love yourself some fishing. Get the Bruhfish is in here.
Bruhfish!
Can't forget him.
No, can't forget our boy Bruhfish. Bruh.
All right, now we go down to the final two, and this is where I struggled a lot.
I did too. Well, I struggled with these top three.
I went back and listened to our podcast episodes about these two games in particular to determine which game was going to be number one.
Okay.
And eventually, after I did a listen through of both of those episodes, I did a flip flop.
Okay.
And then I locked it in, and I was like, I think that's good.
Okay.
My number 2 game of the year, Lost Judgment: The Kaito Files.
Nice.
Like you talked about earlier, like this is almost a full-fledged game. It's like just a much more compact RGG experience in a way. We get a really fun story with Kaito, like you said, exploring his younger days and like how he is now, and while Yagami is off doing his own thing, fighting bears or whatever. And just like the ways that they were able to like tell this kind of long-winded story that is just really, really well done. They give Kaito different fighting styles than Yagami to make him feel different. I think the only thing this is missing is more side content, but it is a DLC, so I understand why it wouldn't be there. But if I had to nitpick something, like that would be the thing to nitpick. Yeah. That there isn't a whole lot of like the weird, goofy side content that you know and love from these games.
Correct.
But on the other hand, like this story's just really, really good.
Really good. And I mean, like, I remember we were both just on the edges of our seats by the end of this. Like, that was a crazy finale. I mean, in true RGG form, but like, I did not expect a DLC to go that hard.
Yeah, like I think the quote unquote main boss fight you would think of is a wild scene, from start to finish.
Yes.
With everything that goes on there. And then you get the bonus boss fight at the end, and you're just like, what is happening? How are you so jacked, my dude? Why are you the hardest boss fight in this video game? What is happening? And that was just a fantastically fun time because we were just laughing our way through it as we were fighting that dude. And like you said earlier, like Kaito gets his happy ending, and it's surprising in a way because it feels like a lot of times people in this series or this extended universe, they don't get happy endings a lot of times. So like for him to get that, I thought was just really good, really satisfying. And like we talked about in the podcast episode we did, like it gives them a different way, like a different avenue in case like the whole stuff with Yagami's actor doesn't get all wrapped up well as they want, that they can go in this direction. But I think that the fact that they're putting these games out on PC maybe is a good indication that there's good talks happening on those sides. So maybe they won't have to go in that direction, but like they have the option now, I think, which is good. Right. It is much better than what we were thinking coming out of Lost Judgment, where it's like, I don't know what we're gonna do with this.
I like the fact that there are options, and maybe we can have like a dual protagonist situation come up, which is also a cool idea.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not something out of the realm of possibility that they've never done before. So
no, and like. We have another game coming up in this universe that is a dual protagonist type situation. So
I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, like How about that?
I mean, it's going to be a while before we see another Judgment game
Hmm.
because we have Ishin, the Kiryu game, and then Like a Dragon 8. So that's 3 games that are coming up. So probably like we wouldn't see maybe anything about the next Judgment game if they're going to make one until like maybe 2024. Maybe is when they first start talking about that because I think that's when Like a Dragon 8 comes out anyways.
Right.
So we got a while for that, but this was a fantastic finale for Lost Judgment, which
It
is
was
already a
so
great game in
good.
and of itself.
Yes. Yes.
So just to have this as the cherry on top was just, man, so good.
Final boss fight.
So, man,
So funny.
so good.
Why are you so jacked, my dude?
Why are you so jacked, my dude? Oh, man. Al, tell me your number 2 game of the year. Do you want to change it right now? Do you have time to change it? Change 1 too if you want.
This might shock you, actually.
All right.
This legitimately might shock you. Number 2 is Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
I don't think that's that shocking.
Really?
I mean, I figured it would be high up here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have thought it was going to be your number 1 game.
Okay. Okay. Um, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, fantastic video game. Holy. Um, I'm a big fan of Xenoblade Chronicles 1. 2 is good, but like in retrospect, playing it, like
Debatable.
compared to 1 and 3, like
And the DLCs.
and the DLCs, like it's like a solid 6.
It's the weakest of all of those.
It's absolutely the weakest. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is really good. Holy. Like all of the characters that you get to play with are fantastic. Noah and Mio are really great protagonists. I do like that you have like a deuteragonist situation here. Much like, Final Fantasy X and all that. Um, where both of them, their stories are absolutely important. And they are the driving force. But you also have the other 4. So you have Tyon and Uni, who are a pair, and then you have Lance and Senna, who are a pair. And they're from the 2 like warring factions, and they have to work together to become like Ouroboros and fight back against the system that they've been put in that basically perpetuates violence. And you could wholly like think about this as like a system of capitalism that they're taking down, but that's another thing. um so they're trying to free everyone from the flame clocks that make them have to kill each other repeatedly, and they're trying to figure out how do we break this system. um this game has this chunk in the middle that is a intense emotional roller coaster. I, once again, much like I was talking about with Crisis Core, full on was just crying, like tears running down the face. I was a mess. I had to step away from it after for a bit, because it hit hard.
Yeah.
The game is super fun to play. I really like a lot of the heroes. I like how it really is a cap for 1 and 2. Uh, there is one part of the game that is relatively weak. I will admit that. Um, and it just kind of felt like they didn't really know what to do at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what kept it from being number 1 for me, was that there's just like this one lagging bit right after that like emotional high that you're like, okay, what are we doing right now? What is this? Why is this happening? Um, also, as a stupid side note, this has been the origin of Giga Chad Rex, which is now a thing that people are obsessed with. But it was cool to see that the 2 worlds like smashed together. You get to see some old characters from 1 and 2 show up. And I'm really interested to see what this DLC is going to be because there are multiple routes they could go with it. And I don't know what that route's going to be. I know what I would prefer. And what I prefer is not what everybody else in the world seems to prefer. But I've been thinking about this game so much since it came out, and I really love it. Um, Also, as a side note, this game uses flute in the soundtrack because they're off-seers and they play flute to send off people, you know, like Yuna. Second Final Fantasy X reference. And the use of the flute in all of these songs is brilliant. It's so well done. I never expected to have like these bombastic, amazing boss themes like you have in Xenoblade, but then you have like this sweet flute line going through it, and you're like, what? Okay, this is amazing. So yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, good video game.
Al likes that Xenoblade.
Al does like that Xenoblade.
That's for sure.
Do we have the same number one?
Well, it is time for our game of the year, and I believe, if I just did my research correctly, for the first time in 5 years.
Oh my god, are you serious?
We have the same game of the year.
We have the same game of the year.
This is very surprising.
That is very surprising, actually. I'm surprised that it's been... Wow, we've never had the same game of the year.
Since Breath of the Wild, that was the last time we had the same game of the year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess it shows how great this game was, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Our number one game of the year. The Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative.
Yep.
What a video game.
What a video game. Oh my god.
Like I said, I listened to the podcast that we did for both this and the Kaito Files DLC, and just like re-listening to our thoughts about both these games, I was like, man, these were really both good games. But just listening to our thoughts about Nirvana Initiative, and I was just like, man, this game does a lot of good stuff and really interesting stuff that is just so weird and fun and good. That it just all reminded me of everything, you know, playing that game and just being like, man, this game's real good.
It's real good. I will never get over like how that twist went down. And I say that twist as if there's not like 10,000 of them.
Yeah, I know.
But like the big one with the timeline.
I think that might be like the biggest thing to come out of this game is that
yeah.
These are like Uchikoshi makes very specific games. Like he's done that since he made 999, and like those have all kind of followed the same formula. You know, through 999, through Virtue's Last Reward, through Zero Time Dilemma, through the first the Somnium Files game, and then to Nirvana Initiative. Like they have timelines. These timelines are incredibly rigid things. You are when you're looking at the timeline, you are looking at an honest representation of the timeline.
Right. Like the flowcharts and timelines are the thing that get you through the game, period. That's how you figure out what happened when, how things are going down. They're always such an important part of how you play the game.
And for him to take that idea and like subvert everybody's expectations and being like, oh, by the way, nah, this isn't real. I've been lying to you the whole time. It's just like, excuse me? What?
Yep.
What? Excuse me?
Yep.
Oh, it's so good. So well done.
Right? Oh my god.
It's one of those things like I think you have to have the caliber of like author or artist like Uchikoshi to be able to do that. To have, you know, to have been able to do this for so long. And then to take a known quantity, a known formula, and then just flip it on its head. Like, it just... You have to have someone who knows how to do this inside and out. And he really knows how to do these games inside and out, these kind of games in particular. And he really just... He did the thing that no one would have expected.
Right, right. And, you know, we were talking when we... Uh-oh, breathe, honey. We were talking...
Maxwell got too excited.
He did. When we talked about the Somnium Files, the first game... We were talking about how like this was easily his best game narratively, like in terms of how he told it, like how it was structured. Um, and then he's like, "Hey, what if I just one up myself?
What if I get better again?
What if I just get better again?" And we're like, Uchikoshi, please, you're too powerful. You're too
especially,
powerful.
especially because like this is a game with two completely new protagonists.
Yeah.
And to make all of that work, all of these things have to come together and work. That's the thing. Like you could throw out all these little things here and like have maybe one or two of them work, but the whole concept kind of fails. Then it's not the same thing. But like he makes everything work here in a way that it's incredibly hard to do.
Yep.
And it's super duper impressive that he was able to pull all of this off. And then also to make a weird bonus secret ending.
Oh my God, that secret ending.
That, you know, we talked about in our podcast about how like it's kind of the same kind of thing that Danganronpa V3 tried to do and failed. Whereas this, I think, gives you more player interpretation or player agency to be like, what do you think of this ending? It's not just telling you, it's not basically smashing you in the face like, this is the ending. It's saying, this is a possible ending. Do you want to believe that this is the ending that could have happened? Or do you want to go with this other ending that happened? That's completely up to you.
Yeah.
And I think that works incredibly well. And also the fact that they make you, the player yourself, a character in that game.
Yep. Which is like what was supposed to happen with Virtue's Last Resort. Reward. God, I can talk. Yeah. But like he actually pulled it off this time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God. What?
I really love in that bonus ending of just like how much it just breaks your reality of just like, hey, by the way, this is a video game.
Yeah.
We're going to make you clip through the walls to get to this character you got to talk to and realize you're just standing in a room that's just an empty space because that's how video games are made.
Yeah. You've got the bodyguard like Bethesdaing through the floor.
Yeah. It's just like, man.
It's so good.
Oh, man.
Which, I think that it's also, we mentioned that there are new protagonists. Mizuki was kind of a known character. Like she's different here, and obviously there's other twists there too. But then we also have Ryuki and Tama, who are brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that was a big risk to be like, all right, well, Date's getting sidelined. Bringing in this new guy, and I loved him. He was such a good character, and him and Tama and their relationship, and her like having to try and like tiptoe around like his mental state is amazing.
I mean, I think a lot of the new characters they had in this game are also real good.
No, I agree, and I also think it's funny that they took a side character from the like Sunfish Pocket, the mermaid. And they're like, what if we just make this an actual character and she's actually really important?
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. There was something else I was gonna bring up and now I'm totally blanking on it. Oh, there's also like the spoiler mode like toggle. That was an interesting idea. I don't know if it like completely played out like it should have, but
because I don't think it really does much.
No.
But it's interesting to be like, hey, do you know who did the original game's killings and all that? All right, give us the answer right now. And like, oh crap, I need to. Oh god, I haven't played this game in a while. I need to go look this up.
Yep. And it's like, who got shot in the end of that? I was like, oh god, I don't remember.
Sorry, it's been a few years.
Yeah. Yep. I was like, oh no, I don't know. But it was a neat idea that that there was like this attempt to protect people who had not played the original game. Like that was cool.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm blanking on his name. I'm totally blanking on his name.
Go look up names. Go look up character names.
I'm looking up. No. It's not the character name the voice actor name.
Oh,
do you know what I'm talking? This was also one of Billy Kamitz's last roles.
Yes.
That's his name.
It's very sad.
That was like, it was right around when it happened. And I was like, oh no. And like, you couldn't really talk about it because he's a big spoiler character.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. But that was a whole thing. God, this game was good.
So good.
Yeah, like all the aged up characters. That was kind of cool.
They made Iris sing the Fortnite meme song, which I think is very funny that Uchikoshi knows a Fortnite meme song. I
Speaking
will
of
never get over that.
that, you mentioned that, and I was like, oh man, I didn't expect that at all. Um, I also think that it's worth mentioning. I think I've said that like 10,000 times in this podcast alone. Um, that there was some controversy with the first game with Mizuki like basically being like supportive of LGBTQ folks.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this whole thing of like, oh, that was just the localizers throwing that in, blah 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 blah. And then in this game, Uchikoshi's like, what if I just do a lot more of that
What if I just double down on it?
and I make it way more blatant and I put like a dictionary thing in here that's like, by the way, don't be a dumbass.
Yeah.
I was like, nice.
And then he just gets out on Twitter like afterwards. Is like, yeah, no, this is what I said.
Yeah, this is what
I
I
didn't.
believe.
No, this is what I put in here. Yeah, this is me.
Yeah, like I was so happy to see him on Twitter being like, yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, this is what I think. This is what I feel. Like, that was intentional. It was fantastic.
This is really good.
I love it when you see people who are not horrible.
Yeah, yeah. It's always nice.
Mm-hmm. Man,
But yeah, this game.
Oda got a mullet too.
Oh, he did get a mullet. God. I mean, he is the kind of character that I feel like, yeah, that tracks. That
totally tracks.
Yeah.
Totally tracks. This game is so good.
What a video game.
I also think the Somniums worked a lot better in this than they did in the first game.
I think the gameplay is a lot more interesting. I mean, it's similar to what they did in the previous game, but I think they, retuned it.
Mm-hmm.
Just did a couple of new additions here and just made it overall a much better playing experience than the first game, which is always good to have. I really liked that they basically did a 999 puzzle within one of the Somniums and then just recreated the beginning puzzle from 999 in the end of the game if you unlock it. And you're just like, what the is happening?
I lost my when that happened.
Like, that's just amazing.
It was amazing. It's like one for one, that puzzle, except for instead of Junpei, you have Aiba.
And it's in 3D.
And it's in 3D. And I was like, oh my God, I would love to have 999 like this right now. Oh my God.
I think that's just a really cool thing.
It was a good little Easter egg.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Man. And then again, the grand finale and Half the Whole is a banger. A banger.
Mm-hmm.
It's brilliant. Brilliant game. Brilliant game.
I agree.
We agree. It is our
Yeah,
first time
we do agree.
A while that we have
2017.
2017. We have the same number one.
5 years later.
Look at us.
Look at us.
Look at us. Wilden.
I mean, it almost wasn't the same for a bit until I did a little flip flop.
Well, and I did many flip flops.
I remember you did do a little flip flops. You sure you don't want to change it yet?
You want to change anything now?
I'm just gonna just reorder this entire list.
Zero Xenoblade and I did a lot of flipping around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Throughout this past week of me writing this until I guess I set it in stone yesterday evening, and I let it sit, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is it. This is the list.
Well, there you go. That's Game of the Year.
Game of the Year.
The 2022 edition. And now we will jump forward to 2023 starting tomorrow.
I want you to know you said jump forward, and Gam jumped into a box immediately as you said it.
Brain cell.
Yep. Except for now, is he sharing our brain cell too?
Yes.
Oh, God. Okay.
Always has.
Yeah, we're going to 2023, which, holy crap.
It's pretty wild. Yeah, we got a lot of more wild games to kick off the year with as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get through all those and come back a year from now and talk to you about the best games of 2023.
Yep.
But that's going to do it for this episode and for 2022 as a whole. It's a wild year. Very quick year.
Very quick year.
So, yeah. If you would like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared Now Watch. You can also find columns and reviews on the site as well. You can find all of our old Game of the Year lists and podcasts up there on the site and on Owl's site as well. We will have written features about our Game of the Year list as well on our both respective sites. You should be able to find links to those on the podcast page itself or just on our individual websites as well. You can find more from Al at annladium.com. That's where she has her columns and reviews. That's where you'll be able to find her Game of the Year write-up list and all her previous ones if you want to check those out. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, and Hot Tubs and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, and a whole wealth of bonus content as well.
Yay!
Next week, our first episode of January 2023. I don't know what we're doing yet because I feel like we have a lot to do. We have
a lot of cleanup, yeah.
We got to figure out exactly how we're going to, or what we're going to do when and where. And that's just a little bit of a mess we got to figure out, but we'll eventually reconvene and have some, we'll have a couple of episodes we'll have pretty much set in stone probably for the beginning of January. And then we'll just keep on keeping on as we've been doing for the past, 6 years now?
That's wild.
Over 6 years?
Wild.
Very wild. But yeah, that's what we'll be doing. We'll see you all in the new year. We'll see you all next year.
Yeah, have a safe and happy new year, kids.
Yeah.